Hello everyone, welcome to my second lesson. Thank you very much for watching today. This lesson is going to be on animal classification. So today we're going to cover vertebrate animals and invertebrate animals. So vertebrate animals are an animal that has a skeleton or a spine. Invertebrates do not have a skeleton or a spine. And let me just say really quickly that I only keep invertebrate animals. I don't keep vertebrates apart from my axolotl or Luigi. But just for the sake of covering the whole topic, we're going to look at vertebrates as well. So the first classification of animals that we are going to look at is mammals. So there are three main ways that you can tell a mammal apart from other animal types. The first way is that mammals will have fur or hair. So just like a human, we have hair. Mammals have fur, sometimes all over their bodies. So that's a good way that you can tell mammals apart from reptiles and birds and things like that. The second way that you can tell is that mammals only give birth to live babies. They don't lay eggs like some snakes or lizards or birds. Mammals always have live babies. That being said, there is one mammal in the world that does lay eggs, and that is the platypus. And the third way that you can tell that a mammal is a mammal is by the fact that it has warm blood. So unlike a reptile that needs to sit out in the sun and bask and get its heat from the sun, mammals don't need to do that. Mammals can actually warm their own blood using their own energy inside their body. So let's look at these terrific examples of mammals. Just a few examples of mammals are hedgehogs, rats, cats, and of course, man's best friend. So the next animal type that we're going to look at are reptiles. So you can tell reptiles apart from mammals quite easily. They do look very, very different. But the main characteristic for a reptile is that it has scales. So unlike a mammal that has hair or fur, reptiles don't have any of that. They're covered in scales generally. The second distinguishing factor about reptiles is that they lay eggs. There are some reptiles that do have live babies, but as a general rule, they lay eggs. But it's more common for reptiles to lay eggs than it is to have live babies, but it does happen in quite a few species. And the third way is that reptiles are cold-blooded. Remember how we said that mammals don't need to sit in the sun and warm up because they have warm blood? Reptiles can't do that. Reptiles are cold-blooded, so they rely on the sun to warm up their bodies. That's why a lot of reptiles come from very hot countries. Just a couple of examples of reptiles are the chameleon and tortoises. So the third type of vertebrate animal that we're going to look at, remember an animal with bones, are the birds. So birds have a couple of characteristics from both mammals and reptiles, but they are their own separate species. So just like a mammal, birds are warm-blooded, so they don't need to sit out in the sun to warm up. They can warm up their own bodies using their own energy. And like a mammal as well, they don't have fur, but they have feathers. Now, feathers serve the same purpose as fur. They keep the animal warm, they keep the animal camouflaged, or they make the animal stand out. But obviously, feathers are different to fur. So, like a reptile, birds also lay eggs. They don't have live babies at all. All birds are born from. It is also thought that birds are the closest living relatives to dinosaurs today. So let's look at these really cool examples of birds. Just a few examples of birds are the vulture, chickens, and owls. So the final type of vertebrate animal that we're going to look at before we move on to the invertebrates are amphibians. So just like a reptile, an amphibian is cold-blooded, but it does not have scales. Amphibians have a very, very smooth sort of jacket skin, and they are also covered in a slime coat. Now, amphibians need to keep their slime coat wet. Otherwise, if they dry out or if their slime coat gets damaged, this can harm them or even kill them. So they have to always have access to water. This is what an amphibian does. It spends some of its time on land and some of its time in the water. This is also very important for laying eggs because amphibians lay eggs just like a reptile, but it cannot lay its eggs on the ground. All of amphibian eggs need to be laid in the water. So let's look at these lovely examples of amphibians.
Just a couple of examples of amphibians are the frog and the axolotl. The axolotl actually stays in the water its entire life, even though it's an amphibian.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the invertebrates, which are the animals that I keep. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated, so if you need to pause it or go over anything or stop it and come back to it later, that's absolutely fine. So the first type of invertebrate that we're going to look at are insects. So the way that you can tell an insect from other invertebrate animals is that an insect has 6 legs. It doesn't have 8 like a spider or 10 like a crab, it has 6. Now you can also tell an insect apart because an insect has a body that is split into 3 segments, which you can see in this photograph.
Here you can see a Uracantha stick insect. Its body is split into 3 sections, consisting of the head, the thorax, and the abdomen.
So another thing that insects have is antennae on the top of their head, which are the 2 little pointy bits that come out here. Now insects tend to use those as a way of helping find what's in front of them, as a way of sort of feeling their way around, because not all insects can see terribly well. So now I'm going to show you some of my insects that I keep at home. So the first insect that I'm going to show you is Rapunzel. She is a Gigantea stick insect, otherwise known as a green bean stick insect. And you can tell that she's an insect because she has 6 legs. And you can also see that she has antennae, which she's using to feel her way around. The antennae are very, very sensitive, a bit like a cat's whiskers. So they use it to sort of sense what's nearby and what's in front of them. And you can see as well that the body is split into 3 parts. So you've got the head at the top and the thorax in the middle and the abdomen at the back. So our next insect is the Madagascan hissing cockroach. I'll see if I can get her to hiss, but she probably won't. She's quite friendly, so she doesn't tend to hiss very much. You gonna hiss? Nope, she doesn't want to. Right, so you can see that she has these antennas that are feeling her way around. And you can also see that she has 3 body parts because she is an insect. So you've got your head, the thorax here, and the abdomen. And of course you can see quite clearly that she has 6 legs. Can you see that? So now she's just going to have a little wander around. Okay, so it's time to talk arachnids. So arachnids differ greatly from insects in lots of ways. The first way is that arachnids, instead of having 6 legs like an insect, they have 8. Not only do they have 8 legs, but they also have no antenna. So you'll never see a spider or a scorpion or a tick, anything like that, that has antenna. Some arachnids do have what we call mandibles, which are sort of little arms, if you like, or claws like a scorpion. And finally, arachnids do not have 3 body parts like an insect. Arachnids just have 2, like in this photograph.
So an arachnid has 2 body parts, a thorax and an abdomen. Their head is actually fused with the thorax.
So let's meet a couple of my pet arachnids. Okay, so the first arachnid we're going to look at is Peppercorn. Peppercorn is a pumpkin patch tarantula. She's only a baby at the moment. And she's sealed herself in with this web that she's made. So I'm not going to disturb her by putting my hands in. I'm just going to film her and let you see. So she does have 8 legs. I hope you can see clearly enough to count them. And if you look really, really carefully at the front, you might also be able to see her mandibles. Can you see those 2 little sort of shorter looking legs? Those are called mandibles, and spiders use those to spin webs and also to help catch prey. You can also see that the body has 2 parts as opposed to 3 like an insect. You can see the head and you can see the very large abdomen at the back. Okay, so our next arachnid is licorice, the Asian forest scorpion. Now you should be able to see, hang on, let me just move the camera around. So you should be able to see that she has 8 legs. Sometimes scorpions sort of conceal their legs underneath their body, so I hope you can see all 8 of them. You can also see, obviously, the claws. So unlike an insect, no antennas, but instead they have claws or mandibles in the spider's case. And also 2 body parts. So you can see the head at the front with the eyes on top of it, and you can see the abdomen at the back. And you can see really clearly her big stinger. So the next category of invertebrate that we're going to look at is the mollusk. So a mollusk is a type of invertebrate that has a very, very soft body, and sometimes it can have a shell. So take a look at these examples of mollusks.
Mollusks can look very, very different from each other. Here is a picture of a snail and you can see its soft body and its shell. A couple more examples of mollusks are the octopus, oysters, and slugs.
So I only keep one type of pet mollusk. Let's take a look. So here we have Snow White. She is an albino African land snail. So snails are a type of mollusk, so they have a soft body without any bones or cartilage, and this part of them is what's known as the foot. She's very slimy. So that part there is the foot. You can also see that they have a shell. Not all mollusks have a shell, but some do. For example, oysters and clams, that kind of thing. And you can see her having a good look at you all. So our next category of invertebrates are the myriapods. So a myriapod is a type of invertebrate that has a very long body that is split into 2 segments containing the head and the trunk. Now a myriapod does not have 6 legs or 8 legs. A myriapod has a minimum of 9 pairs of legs as a general rule, so 18 legs. Some myriapods though can have up to 750 legs. That's a lot of shoes. Myriapods can also have antennae like an insect, and myriapods tend to have a body that is very well shaped and well adapted to scuttle through the forest on the forest floor. Now let's see the pet myriapods that I keep. So the first pet myriapod I'm going to show you is Humbug. She is an ivory millipede, and she has, I've never counted obviously, but she has about 200 to 300 legs. You can see all the little legs there. You can also see she's got some antennae to find her way. And millipedes are a very good body shape for scuttling around in the forest. So this long body that they have is really effective at sort of scuttling through the leaves on the floor and keeping them very, very well hidden. So I'm just going to show you her head there. So you can see the head, that's the first part of the body, and the trunk is the second part. myriapod I want to show you is Speckle. She is a Ghana speckled leg millipede. These are also known as olive millipedes. And these have about 400 legs, so quite a few more than the ivory millipede that I just showed you. And of course you can see antennas and a head and a trunk. And these millipedes come from Ghana. They live in the rainforest. And again, their body shape is really, really good at keeping them hidden and allowing them to scuttle around and not be seen by predators. So the final type of invertebrate that we're going to cover in this classification topic is the crustacean. So crustaceans have what is known as an exoskeleton. I don't think I've mentioned this previously, I do apologise, but invertebrates, most of them do have what's known as an exoskeleton, which is basically a hard outer shell on the outside of their body that is in effect their skeleton. Not all invertebrates have an exoskeleton, for example mollusks don't, and some types of worms and things like that. But a lot of invertebrates do have what's known as an exoskeleton, and a crustacean's is particularly hard and protective. Another characteristic of a crustacean is that, like an arachnid, it does have two body parts, just like in this photograph. Here's just one example of a shrimp. You can see that it has two body parts, just like an arachnid. So crustaceans also have 10 legs, as opposed to an insect with 6 or an arachnid with 8, a crustacean will have 10. The main difference as well between crustaceans and other land invertebrates is that crustaceans have gills. Some crustaceans spend their entire lives in the water. Some crustaceans will only spend some of their time in the water and some of their time on the land. This being said, they still need gills to help them breathe in water and both in humid environments. So let's go and meet a few of my pet crustaceans. So here are my 3 Brevis hermit crabs. It's very cute, they tend to huddle together. Let me see if I can get a better view of them for you. So this one is Leopold. Now it's a little bit tricky to see all of the hermit crab's legs because they keep some tucked up inside their shell. But you can see at least 8 of them. There's another pair in the back there. Oh, sorry, pal. And also hermit crabs are one of the crustaceans that have antennas. Oops, sorry mate. So remember we said that crustaceans have, oh dear. There you go, don't fall over. Crustaceans have 2 pairs of antennas. So you can see Leopold, he's got 4 out there. This is Fishcake, she's incredibly shy. So she probably won't come out to see us, so I'll just pop her down there. And there's also Norman. You coming out, buddy? Oh. There he is, sort of. Hermit crabs do tend to be quite shy creatures. So I'm just going to give you a short video of them. And this is Vinny, my rainbow crab. Here he is enjoying some leftover peppers. Okay, so that is the end of our lesson on classification, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. There will be another lesson as scheduled next week at 11 AM. Next week's lesson is going to actually be on rainforests and the magic of millipedes. So I really hope to see you all there. I hope you're staying safe and well during these times, and I can't wait to come out and see you all. So take care. Bye-bye.